Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to jump right into the social maze, that tangle of relationships we all navigate every day. We'll unpack some really powerful advice on how to build not just stronger friendships, but honestly, a much stronger you. So let's get into it.
I mean, does this look familiar? That feeling of being totally lost, where the expectations of friends and society are just confusing and frankly, kind of draining? Yeah, you're definitely not alone. The source material we're diving into today basically offers us a map to get through it.
All right, so the journey begins with what is maybe the most critical decision you can make: who you choose to let into your inner circle. This is all about consciously breaking free from what our source calls the vicious cycle of bad company.
And look, this isn't just a light suggestion. The source material is super direct about this. Teaming up with reckless or negative people isn't just a bad idea, it's straight up self-destructive. It's like getting caught in a downward spiral that becomes almost impossible to escape.
So check this out. It's like two paths are laid out right in front of you. On one side, you've got all the stuff that just drains your soul, the reckless, the gossips, the arrogant. But on the other side, you've got the qualities that actually build you up: discipline, merit, real support. The key thing here is that this is an active choice. You get to decide which path you're on.
And that brings us to this really incredible concept from the source, satsanga, which basically means a good circle. This is way more than just hanging out. We're talking about a group of people who actively support you in your goals, in your learning, and in becoming a better person.
Okay, so choosing the right people is one thing, but what happens when a relationship you really want just isn't working out? This next part gets into that tricky subject of one-sided feelings and, more importantly, how you can find real peace in letting go.
And the core advice here? It's simple, but man, it is powerful. A real healthy relationship has to be mutual. It's got to be a two-way street. If all the energy and emotion is just flowing one way, trying to force it is only going to lead to pain. It just makes your life more complicated and causes a ton of suffering you don't need.
The source gives us this absolutely beautiful metaphor for this. Think about it. You don't have to pick a flower to possess it, to appreciate its beauty, right? You can just admire it and wish it well from afar. And that's the huge mindset shift we're talking about, from wanting to possess something to simply appreciating it.
Now for an idea that is a total game changer. Section 3 is all about moving from a mindset of complaint to one of conquest. It's about learning how to turn your frustrations into your own personal superpower.
Listen to this claim from the source, because it's a big one. It says that successful people just don't waste their time and energy complaining. Instead, they channel all that energy into action, working to turn a bad situation into a good one.
So you're probably wondering, okay, but how do I actually do that? Well, it breaks down into 3 really clear steps. First, you stop looking around for someone to blame, and you turn your focus inward. Second, you ask yourself the most powerful question there is. Okay, what can I do about this right now? And finally, you reframe the whole thing. This isn't just a problem, it's a challenge, it's an adventure.
And for a profound example of this, the text points to the life of the prophet, peace be upon him. I mean, he faced incredible hardships and neglect, but he never complained. Instead, all that energy went into serving others and forgiving them, and that's how he ultimately triumphed over it all.
You know, all of this leads to a really fundamental question. Where does our real worth actually come from? So this next section is all about moving past that constant need for approval from other people.
The source asks this really provocative question, one that pushes back against a huge social pressure we all feel. Is the whole point of life to attract other people? Is that actually a special skill or something to be proud of?
And here, the source makes the super sharp distinction. That basic drive to attract a mate, that's just animal instinct. You see it in peacocks, you see it in dogs. But what makes us human is our ability to have worth based on something way deeper: virtue, merit, our inner qualities. That's where the real value is.
And what about all the people who pressure you to seek that external validation? Oh, you are going to love this metaphor. The source says they're like the fox who lost its tail in a trap and then tried to convince all the other foxes that having no tail was the cool new thing. They're just trying to pull you into their own misery.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together in our final section. If we're not supposed to be chasing validation from others, then what is the ultimate answer to that feeling we all get from time to time: loneliness?
So when that feeling of loneliness hits, and believe me, it hits all of us, we basically have 2 ways to go. There's the unwise path, just filling the silence with random calls, endless scrolling, which, let's be honest, usually just makes us feel more restless. Or there's the wise path, engaging with something meaningful, your work, a good book, a positive hobby. On that path, loneliness doesn't just get smaller, it actually disappears. And this right here, this is so important. Friendship is absolutely an act of giving, but you have to be careful who you're giving to. If you pour all your time and energy into the wrong vessel, someone who doesn't share your values, someone who won't give back, it's always going to end in disappointment.
And at the end of the day, the source brings it all back to this timeless truth. Outer beauty, social status, all that stuff fades. But your inner virtue, that's eternal. That's what really lasts.
This is where the whole idea of friendship gets redefined. It doesn't even have to be another person. The source suggests your greatest friend can be your own practice.
And for someone who loves wisdom, a book, that pursuit of knowledge, can be the most loyal and fulfilling friend you'll ever have. And that leaves us with this final, really powerful question to sit with. After you've done the work, after you've built this strong inner world based on your values, if you look around and you still can't find that perfect, like-minded friend, is it possible you've already found the most important one of all in yourself?